Yo, what's up guys, Rec here bringing us the video for today. I get this question asked a lot, especially when I post like a really sick clip on Twitter, like a dope squad wipe, and I'll get a lot of messages or DMs saying, yo, like that was a really sick clip, how about your settings? Settings this, settings that, everybody wants to know. So here you guys go. Hopefully I can help some of you guys out, especially if there's anyone new that's maybe looking up some settings videos and you guys are watching like all these dumb videos of people talking for 5 minutes about obituaries and ping opacity. Like, who cares? So these are the settings that absolutely matter, especially the most important ones starting off on your sensitivity. But this is not sponsored, not an ad, but I will say this very quickly. I cannot believe I did not use Control Freaks up until like last week. These things are game changers. If you've never tried them, get some and try them out. These are the Battle Royale Control Freaks. They're literally called Battle Royale. And wow, I was the kind of person that was like, yeah, I don't need that crap. And Jesus Christ, it just made like the biggest difference. I remember taking them off for the first time after I got used to them and played a couple games. And I was like, wow, I cannot aim worth crap without these Control Freaks. They are honestly game changing. I did not know they were like that good. So get some and try them out. Anyways, first things first, sensitivity. All right, the most important thing, of course, is just sensitivity. I rock a 4.3, and I'll explain to you why I'm a little bit lower than I normally am, because I come from Call of Duty where I was always a max sensitivity player, always rocking 1414 on Call of Duty, always on max. But in this game, I've realized, and you'll see a lot of good players on controller especially realize it too, is this isn't as much of a high sensitivity dependent game than a game like Call of Duty is. Because your best sensitivity, the golden rule for sensitivity, is your best sensitivity is the highest sensitivity you can go without sacrificing your aim. But the thing about this game is that if you're rocking a 4.3 or a 3.2, you're gonna have some sharp aim, and you're not gonna really need to be dependent on those really fast like turn on flicking locking onto people, because the 4.3 is just like really good. Like right here the default is 3.3. If you bumped it up to a 4.3, that's what I know a lot of really good controller players use. But I have some really good friends that drop like 20 kills a game that rock like a 3.2. And at the most I've seen from really good players is like a 5.4, 6 is pushing it. Barely know a lot of people with that. So rocking a 4.3, you know, from the 3 to 4 range, 3.2, 4.3, that's a pretty good range you're gonna want to keep it at, especially if you're going to want to have that sharp aim, you know what I mean? Now, something that I actually needed a lot of time working on was my response curve. I was always messing with it, but here's the deal. Linear, no. High velocity, no. Unless you got like really bionic hands and like super like sensitive, like you're just a god or something, I would not use anything other than classic or steady. I prefer a steady, which means a balance of firm control and fast aim. Sounds pretty nice, and I'll play a couple clips of why I use steady. It just kind of gives you kind of that snappy aim, almost like that COD snappy aim, where you're just coming into a building like boom, snap onto him, boom. Boom. You guys get the point? So yeah, rocking a steady, especially if you were like big into Call of Duty, I recommend rocking the steady. But if you came into this game already having some experience on other Respawn titles like Titanfall and you like the classic, keep it on classic. I prefer a steady. Mess around with it, use them both and see what you like better. I'm a steady kind of guy. And now for your look Deadzone, let me explain this really quickly. Look Deadzone, all that does is it makes it to where you're not looking around if you're on like some wacky settings or if you're on a wacky controller. Like if you're playing linear and have no look Deadzone, that's what's gonna happen. Your look is gonna go wandering all over the place. Now, movement Deadzone is actually quite similar. It's just the other way around. It's just for your movement. That's what a movement Deadzone would look like. Probably not that fast, but you should not have movement Deadzone unless you got something wrong with your controller or some wacky settings. So moving things along into inverted look. If you play inverted, then you're already probably playing inverted. There's no need to explain that. And vibration, I actually was a no vibration kind of guy, especially from like Call of Duty, Fortnite. I was never a vibration kind of person. I never liked it, but I actually feel like it was really well done in this game, and I actually prefer to have it on. This is one of the first games where I prefer to have vibration on, and I actually talked to a lot of really good players, or you'll see a lot of other YouTubers that made like a similar video. They actually talk about the vibration, and they actually prefer it as well. They'll keep it on just because they actually like how well done and how good it... that sounds bad. They actually like just how the vibration is on this game. It works very well and it just feels natural, you know what I mean? It's not too much, it's not too little, it just kind of works. Alright, so moving along, I'd say FOV is probably one of your biggest game changer settings other than your controller like sensitivity and that sort of stuff. So by default, it's actually on 70, and you'll see when I apply this how just It's so zoomed in. It's so like, it's so much harder. Wow, I actually can't hit that. I was not even joking right there. I was not used to that at all. I definitely recommend getting yourself up to max field of view. I actually am not at max yet though. I think I'm at like 106 or 108 or something. But once you get to max FOV, you guys will see. It's like almost stretch res on Fortnite, but not really. I hate making that comparison, but I know a lot of other people that have made that comparison. It just kind of helps your awareness and it just helps your play style once you get used to a higher FOV. I actually went up to 100 to start off, and then I'm kind of working my way slowly up to 110, but I couldn't go straight up to 110. So go up gradually and try to work your way up to the 100 plus range. That's where you want your FOV at 100%, no questions asked. And if you're colorblind, of course you're gonna put your colorblind stuff. If not, don't do it. It just looks uglier. And now I actually bumped up my brightness a little bit. I think the default is kind of in the middle, and I bumped it up just a tad because I hated those situations where you're going into a building and it's really dark, and it's not like when you're playing on PC. I'm not even sure if they have that option for this game on PC where you can disable shadows, but I know you can do it in Fortnite. And the darkness and the shadows in some of the buildings are actually really bad, so you're actually gonna want to have to bump up that brightness a little bit, as long as it doesn't look too bright and too bad. On top of that, my monitor is also a little bit dark, so I like bumping up the brightness. And now lastly, your gameplay tab is mostly like for your HUD, your on-screen display and all that stuff. A lot of this is personal preference, but a lot of it does make a difference. For example, your interact prompt style, I actually play on compacts. All it does is make it to where it's smaller, you know, G7 Scout. If you have it on default, then it's just gonna be bigger. So if you're kind of new to the game, keep it on default. That way you can kind of like see what the gun is and know what you're picking up. But if you're already experienced and you can tell what your gun is just by looking at it on the ground, keep it on compact. It just looks better. Same thing with button hints, you're gonna want to keep that on, just because all it does is give you like a button notification of what to press when your specialist is ready. For example, press L1 plus R1 to use your specialist. That's all it is. So yeah, crosshair damage feedback, I don't know why they have any other option, but you should always have it with shield icon so you can see when you're dealing damage to his shield on the damage feedback. That's a no-brainer. I don't know why they have any other option for that. Damage numbers, floating or stacking, I'll show you guys really quick. Stacking just stacks up the damage totals, you know, total of 48 damage right there. Floating, I know a lot of really good players just prefer floating, maybe because it's more aesthetically pleasing, or maybe they could just do the quick math in their head, but it just stacks the damage. 12, 12, 12, 12, 30 damage, 60 damage, 60 damage. That's all it is. I keep it on floating. It just looks nicer. It doesn't really matter. Same thing with ping opacity. A lot of that is just personal preference. Doesn't really matter. If you want to see his obituary, you don't have to. You can put it off. You can keep it on. Incoming damage feedback, keep that on 3D. I don't know why they give you other options. Streamer mode, who cares? Yes or no? And that's essentially it. As far as audio goes, I like to rock the dialogue music and lobby music like super low, just because it's loud as hell as it is and you don't really need it. You know what I mean? The main thing you're gonna want is to be able to hear the footsteps and those sorts of things, especially in a battle royale game. So I have the master volume and sound effects up to 100. The only complaint, and I actually saw Drifter complaining about this as well, is you have a lot of bad audio imbalances as far as like environmental audio, and basically anything that's not footsteps is also extremely loud in this game, which means that you can hear fighting from 2 miles away and it might sound like it's pretty close, or even if you're kind of used to it and you know the fighting is like really far away, it's like very distracting, especially if you're like in a situation where you got a host team pushing you and you're trying to like listen for the footsteps, but you have like the water in the creek going off next to you and you have gunshots. It makes it really hard to actually keep track of enemies. So hopefully they fix up the audio balances and make it to where the audio is just overall better. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Hope you guys were able to benefit and find what works best for you. The last thing I'm gonna say is I do this for like 20 minutes before I even play online. Every time I get on, I always just come into the... Wait. Oh, I wanted all 6 in a row. I always come in and I practice my flicks. Yes, controller flicks. I work on them. So yeah, definitely take advantage of the training, you know, practice the moving targets, practice different situations, because I guarantee you, when I started doing this for like 20 minutes a day, sometimes I just sit here for like 45 minutes. I'm telling you, it's a game changer. It is a game changer when you actually get a shot on like that. So take advantage of the training. So yeah, other than that, that's it for the video. Hope I was able to help some of you guys out. Best of luck to you guys. It's been Rec, and I'll catch you guys later.